Hi all and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a little movie review. I watched a film called The Wave and I thought I would tell you my thoughts on it. So let's get into it. Okay, so I bought this film here. It was a CEX pickup a little while ago. It cost me like £4. It's a disaster movie. Now I'm a fan of sort of the disaster genre of movies, as is the director of this. Now this is actually a Norwegian film. It is all in Norwegian language with English subtitles at the bottom. I've got no issue with English, with foreign language films and watching them. In fact, there's quite a lot of decent movies out there that are not English or American, and I get a lot of enjoyment out of them. Now, this film, it did actually come out in 2015. It had a $6 million budget. That's all, $6 million. And it was put up as sort of an Oscar contendee for best foreign language film, although it didn't get selected to make it into the Oscars to win, unfortunately. Now, the director of this film, sorry I don't know his name, he's a big fan of films of this, disaster films in Hollywood, and he wanted to create a film set in Norway that was a disaster movie, and thusly he came up with this. Now, the fjords in Norway, where you've got all the big rocks and you've got all the water that comes inland, majestic, beautiful, fantastic stuff. I've been there myself. I've been fortunate enough to go on a cruise to Norway and see these specifically for myself. And anyway, there's one particular cliff in this that in the past, in history, has actually had landslips, and when the rocks have hit the water, it has created a tsunami that has gone and killed numbers of people. And this film is based around that, essentially. So, quick talk about the plot for the film. Now, the film is based around this fella and his family. This geezer, he works for sort of like the people that monitor, like seismologists. They monitor the goings on of the cliffs there, and they've got things set up and all this sort of a thing. But he's got a new job elsewhere, and him and his family are about to move and leave. It becomes evident that there's a shift in the rock face, and he's worried that it's going to come to pass, and it does, at a point where him and his family are split up, and it's a story of survival and all this sort of a thing, like what you'd expect. It does pretty much hit the the ABCs of the disaster sort of flick. He goes into his bosses and tells him that there's a potential problem, this might happen. They don't want to listen to him. They don't want to cause panic. You always get these sort of people, and inevitably that person dies and all that sort of a thing. So it does go into that territory. It does go into that sort of cliche of Hollywood movies. But nevertheless, it's a very good film. It does focus on him and his family primarily, so it's a very small cast. As the main cast members, there are other people floating around, but this is to its benefit, because even though it's in a foreign language and all this, you get to know this family, and it is very well written for them, and it's fantastic what they go through, what you see them go through, and what they have to try and survive. The effects are very good, I mean, like I said, $6 million budget, so don't expect nothing magnificent, but they are very, very good. The sheer tension at the start of the film, it does ramp up. You do feel it. You do get a sense of it, and you're on sort of tenterhooks because you know what's coming. You know that this rock face is going to drop. You know it's going to create this tsunami that's about 80 meters high, and you're there waiting for it to happen. So it works very well in that sense. And then he has to go off and rescue his family and all this sort of a thing. Now, the film is directed wonderfully. It is beautifully shot. You know, the scenery, Norway's a beautiful country anyway. The fjords are fantastic. It's unreal what you can see, because, you know, these mountains, they go up really high. You know, that they're very, very big, and just as much, the water underneath is just as deep. If not deeper than what you can see the mountains coming up. So the feasibility of this happening is very high. So it has that sort of element to it, that real element. It's not one of them disaster films where it's the end of the world or anything like that. It's sort of a smaller scale, but nevertheless fantastic. Now, the budget does show through in the aftermath of the or limitations of the budget do show in the aftermath of what goes on, because it's all set in the dark at night time. And this is obviously done to keep the costs down, because you can't see the damage afar. It's sort of very close knit around the characters and this sort of a thing. But very, very good. I enjoyed the story that the wife and the son, what they had to go through when they're I don't want to spoil the film for you, where they're in their little story element of it and what the wife has to do. I thought was very brave storytelling in a sense. So just a wonderful, wonderful film. Well directed, well produced, well shot, well acted. I can't fault it. It's a very good film. And all the actors in it did actually do their own stunts. They all done their own stunts. The main star of the film, he had to learn to hold his breath for 3 minutes underwater to film certain elements towards the end of the film. So it's all there in camera. It's not stuntmen, it is these actors doing it, and that's fantastic. And the film did generate a sequel. There is a sequel that I've yet to watch, and I will watch, called The Quake, which is this family again, but caught up in an earthquake. You know, never so much occurred since John McClane to one person and one family. But there we go. But no, a very fun film, a very good time. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Worth the watch. I'd highly recommend it. If you like disaster films, I'd highly recommend this film. It's very, very good. You know, and on $6 million, that's tiny, but it doesn't look it with the effects. The effects do look wonderful. So great film. Anyways, AJ, thanks for watching, and hit the subscribe button. Come join the channel. I will do a review for The Quake once I've watched that one. Very positive. Enjoyed it. See you later. Take care and goodbye.